AirMiners is kicking off the second batch of its Buyers Club. And as part of that, I went back and reviewed the pilot. We had 11 sessions between July and December. We processed 161 applications. We interviewed 26 teams. We made a purchase, and there's one that's still in the works. And I wanted to share my two takeaways from that process, illustrating why buyers clubs are so important. It really comes down to peer-to-peer learning. In the same way that if you've been through our AirMiners Accelerator program or AirMiners Boot Up, that's really at the root of this. And this is something that doesn't happen elsewhere in carbon dioxide removal. So folks getting into buying carbon dioxide removal have a lot of questions. They have questions about what carbon dioxide removal is. They have questions about what a particular methodology is. They have questions about one particular implementation of that methodology. So, for example, they have questions about biochar. They have questions about what you're doing with the biochar and where the biomass is coming from. And they have that multiplied by every single different company and every single different methodology. And what's important and valuable about having buyers clubs exist is that other customers in that community, in the buyers community, get to help answer those questions. What buyers clubs bring are candid conversations about what's important to you. Because in addition to all those questions about carbon dioxide removal, you have an entirely another set of questions that's about what's important in your organization. What does the chief financial officer think about this? What does marketing think about this? What does the legal department think about this? What does the legal department even do? Right? All of these things. And that's how buyers clubs can bring together a community that have that similar set of questions. And that the answers to those questions are changing all the time. That's what's so important about having these regular convenings just for folks in the buyers community. They're not pitch events, it's for education, it's for sharing. And the candidness goes way, way, way up when you're just surrounded by peers. The way we did it at the Buyers Club, we had 11 sessions. They were every 2 weeks. So maybe one week you come in and this thing's happening within your organization, or you have this question. Great, you answer it. And then 2 weeks later, you come in with something totally different. Totally fine. That's the power of peer learning, is you can just share where you're at, what you're thinking about, where you're getting stuck. It keeps momentum going. And momentum can be lost so easily, especially when you're starting something new, something that's very new, like purchasing carbon dioxide removal credits. Things can get stuck because you have questions. Things can get stuck because your boss says something, or somebody on your team says something, or you think your boss is going to say something. Momentum can get lost if things change within an organization. Maybe somebody goes on a really long vacation. You can't get your questions answered. Maybe somebody important leaves the company, somebody who's really supporting your initiative. Maybe you talk to somebody who's removing carbon dioxide and you have some questions about that. Keeping momentum going is the same as, if you started a carbon dioxide removal company, that house of cards that you're building when you're creating any new business or any new idea, boy, something can happen and the whole thing just falls down. And you say, okay, how do you put it back together? And as the industry grows, as this industry changes, how do you keep putting that momentum together and keeping it going, even in the face of things getting stuck and directions changing and all these sorts of things? Buyers and startups in this lens are on the same team. They kind of have a different set of questions, but what they all want is for carbon dioxide removal to succeed. So when you're talking to somebody who's thinking about having their organization purchase carbon dioxide removal credits, know that they want that to happen. And they're open to getting creative about, well, how do we do this? And how did somebody else do this? And what worked for another organization? That's why these buyers communities really matter. One example of that we have coming up is the diligence workshop that we're doing. It's for buyers who have a diligence process. Maybe their diligence process is simply that they're thinking about buying carbon dioxide removal credits. Maybe it's somebody that's already made purchases, but getting that community together to share and to learn is the point of this diligence event that's coming up. We also have our Buyers Club. We've kicked off the second batch of it. And so that's another place where people can join this buyers community. We published a report about the first pilot of the Buyers Club. You can go read that. It's got a whole bunch of other examples and quotes and how the process worked and all that. So you can dig more into that. But I look forward to meeting and growing this buyers community. We've got the diligence event, we've got our buyers club, and we've got other buyers clubs popping up around the world. So I'd look forward to seeing you there.